Stop scrolling. You have a door, you have keys, and you believe you control who walks through that door. But here's what most people never realize until it's too late. There are 6 people who can enter your home without ever touching the handle. They don't break windows. They don't pick locks. They smile. They bring gifts. They've known you for years. And every single one of them leaves something behind that takes months to clean out of your mind. By the time you finish this video, you'll understand why your grandmother's rule, always be a good host, might be the most dangerous advice you ever followed. Let's begin. The first person, the one who asks too many soft questions. Let's start with someone you have almost certainly already let in. They sit on your couch, they hold your coffee mug, they lean in like a close friend, and then they begin asking questions. Not hard questions, not rude ones, soft questions. Are you really sure that's a good idea? Is work still, stressful? Does your partner actually understand you? Do you ever feel like you're failing? Their tone is gentle. Their eyes look concerned. You feel seen. But here is what Carl Jung would call the shadow hidden inside this concern. These questions are not curiosity. They are tiny drills. Each question spins a little deeper into your doubts. And because they come wrapped in kindness, you don't defend yourself. You open up. You confess. You say, "Actually, yes, I've been worried about that." That is the moment they enter. Not through your door, through your uncertainty. Let me give you a very practical example. Imagine you just bought a used car. You negotiated hard. You felt proud. A friend visits. They look at the car and say, "Oh, that model. I heard those have transmission problems." Then they pause and add, "But I'm sure you checked it out." You laugh and say, "Yeah, of course." They leave. That night, you are in bed searching online. Does this car have transmission failure? You find one forum post from 2014 where someone had an issue. Now you can't sleep. Nothing changed about your car, but something changed inside you. This matters right now because your home is supposed to be where you recharge your sense of self. Research in social psychology shows that repeated exposure to subtle doubt from trusted people literally rewires your self-trust circuits. You start hearing their voice inside your own head. You begin second-guessing decisions you used to make easily, not because they attacked you, because they made you feel seen in a way that quietly taught you not to trust yourself. And that is far more dangerous than an obvious enemy. Here's why this person is so hard to spot. They never say, "You're wrong." They say, "Are you sure?" They never say, "That's stupid." They say, "Interesting, I never would have done that." The difference is invisible, but the effect is massive. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "The most common lie is the one we tell ourselves in private." But I would add this, the most damaging lie is the one someone else plants in us while pretending to care. Let me make this even more real. Think about a family member who always asks about your job with a slight frown. Still at that company? Still doing that same thing? They never say it's bad, but their face says it's temporary. After a few years of this, you start feeling like your career is just a waiting room for something real. That feeling isn't yours. You borrowed it from them, and they left it on your couch like a wet coat. So what do? You don't need to argue. You don't need to cut them off. You just need to notice. The next time someone asks a soft, doubting question, pause. Ask yourself, did I wonder about this before they spoke? If the answer is no, then their question is not help. It is a small invasion. And you are allowed to simply say, "I'm not worried about that," and change the subject. You don't owe them access to your insecurities just because they asked nicely. The second person, the one who never asks for help but always leaves with something. The second person is trickier because they never look like a problem. They are not rude. They do not steal your money. They don't even complain. But watch closely. Every time they visit, something small goes missing. Not objects, energy, attention, time. They walk in. You offer water. No, don't bother. 20 minutes later, they sigh while looking at your fridge. You ask again. Well, actually, I haven't eaten all day. You make them food. They say, you're so kind. Then they do the exact same thing next time. This pattern has a name. Nietzsche called it the weariness that wants to be seen. Let me explain. Some people refuse to ask for help directly because making you offer feels like a bigger victory. If they ask, you help them. If they suffer silently until you notice, then you are a good person and they are the victim you saved. That is not humility. That is quiet control. Here is a real-life example most people have lived. Your cousin shows up just to talk. You're tired. It's late. They say, I don't need anything, just wanted to see you. Then they keep looking at your Wi-Fi router. They say their phone data is almost gone. You offer the password. They say, are you sure? Of course you say yes. Then they mention their place is cold tonight. You offer a blanket. They say, you're the only one who understands me. By the time they leave, they have used your internet, eaten your food, taken a blanket, and you feel strangely exhausted. They didn't ask for any of it, but they got all of it. Why is this dangerous? Because over time, you stop waiting for them to ask. You start anticipating their needs before they arrive. You feel guilty if you don't offer. Psychology research on codependency shows that this pattern trains your brain to treat your home as a service station rather than a sanctuary. Your nervous system stays on alert the entire time they are there. You are not hosting. You are performing unpaid emotional and physical labor. And the worst part? They will never thank you properly because in their mind you offered, so they owe you nothing. The fix is simple but uncomfortable. Next time, wait for them to ask. Just wait. Let the silence sit. If they never ask, they never needed it. And if they get upset that you didn't offer, then you have learned exactly who they are. A person who uses politeness as a weapon. The third person, the one who brings small chaos. Now we arrive at the third person. This one is so common that most people think it's normal friendship. This is the person who always shows up with a story. You won't believe what happened, and it is always bad. A fight with their boss, a betrayal by their ex, a rumor about someone you both know, drama with their mother, a crisis with their landlord. They do not yell, they do not break things, but they dump emotional chaos into your clean space. And here is what Marcus Aurelius would say if he were sitting next to you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But what he didn't say out loud is that when someone brings their outside fire inside your walls, they borrow your calm to put it out, and they almost never return it. Let me give you a story you might recognize. A friend sits on your floor, crying or venting for 2 hours. You listen, you hold space, you offer advice, you hug them. They leave saying, wow, I feel so much better. Thank you. You're such a good friend. You close the door and feel like someone pulled a plug. You are empty, tired, irritated for no reason, and they have no idea. This is not friendship. This is emotional extraction. Everyone has problems. Everyone needs to vent sometimes. But the third person never solves anything. They just relocate their chaos. Your home becomes their unpaid therapy room. And research on emotional contagion backs this up completely. Studies show that spending just 30 minutes with someone who complains habitually can lower your own mood for up to 4 hours afterward. 4 hours, that is an entire evening. That is dinner, relaxation, and sleep preparation, all quietly stolen. Here is a question to ask yourself. Does this person ever leave your home and leave you feeling lighter? Or do you always need to recover after they go? If you need recovery, they are not visiting, they are dumping. And you are not a friend. You are a landfill with a couch. You do not need to abandon them. But you do need to stop letting them use your home as their disaster zone. Next time, meet them at a coffee shop, public space, time limit. That small change protects your walls. And if they ask why you never invite them over anymore, you can say gently, "I love you, but my home is my rest place. Let's meet outside." A real friend will understand. A dumper will get angry, and that anger tells you everything. The fourth person, the one who improves your home. The fourth person is the most deceptive, because they often mean well, or at least they think they do. This is the person who walks into your home and immediately starts editing. "Oh, you moved the sofa. I liked it better the other way. This wall is so empty. You should put a mirror there. Those curtains make the room dark. Have you considered white ones?" Or worse, they actually start rearranging your dishes while you're in the bathroom. They call this helping. Carl Jung would call this projection. Let me explain what that means. Projection is when someone cannot stand something inside themselves, so they see it in you instead. They feel chaos in their own life, so they try to reorganize yours. They feel insecure about their own home, so they criticize yours. It feels small, but watch what happens after they leave. You start seeing your home through their eyes. Things that never bothered you now look wrong. You walk past that empty wall and feel a small pinch of shame. You look at your curtains and wonder if they really are too dark. Here is a very common example. Your mother-in-law visits and says, "Those curtains make the room feel small." She says it once, casually. Then she talks about something else. 2 days later, you are standing in a store looking at new curtains. You didn't care about curtains an hour before she arrived. You never once looked at that window and felt bad. But now you do. That feeling is not yours. You borrowed it, and you are still paying interest. Why is this dangerous? Because your home is your external mind. Every object, every layout, every little mess you tolerate sends a signal to your brain. You are safe here. You are in control here. This space belongs to you. When someone rewires that without your permission, they create a low-grade anxiety you cannot even name. You just feel off, restless, like something is wrong, but you do not know what. Research in environmental psychology confirms that people who feel constant, unsolicited feedback about their home space report higher levels of what scientists call ambient stress, a slow drip of tension that never fully turns off. And the source is not your home. The source is the person who made you doubt it. So what do? You practice one sentence. Say it calmly with a small smile. "I actually like my home exactly as it is." That is all. You do not argue. You do not explain. If they push back, you say it again. "I like it this way." Over time, they will either stop or show you that they cannot stand your contentment. And if they cannot stand your contentment, they should not stand in your living room. The fifth person, the one who never remembers what you said. The fifth person is the one that hurts the most because they seem so nice. They ask about your life. They nod while you talk. They say, "Wow, and that's crazy, and I had no idea." But here is the test. Next week, they ask the same question. "How is your mum doing?" You told them she is in the hospital. They forgot. "Are you still working on that project?" You finished it 3 months ago. Did you ever talk to that person you were having trouble with? You resolved it, cried about it, and moved on. They smiled through your answer. But they never carried any of it with them. Nietzsche said, "I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on, I cannot believe you." But here is a harder truth. Someone who does not remember your life is not forgetful. They are uninterested. Your pain is background noise to them. Your joys are static. They like the idea of being close to you, but they do not like the work of actually seeing you. Let me give you a very practical example. You share something vulnerable, money trouble, a health scare, a dream you are scared to chase. They say, "That's rough," or "You'll figure it out." Then they move on. Next time you see them, they ask, "So, any new problems?" As if your life is a series of headlines they scroll past. They do not follow up. They do not check in. You feel unseen in your own kitchen. Why is this dangerous? Because over time, you start minimizing your own struggles. You think, it's not that important. They have their own life. I'm being too needy. But research in psychology on validation shows that when people consistently fail to mirror your emotions, when they do not reflect back what you shared, your brain learns to hide. You stop sharing, then you stop feeling, then you stop knowing what you feel. You become a stranger to yourself, and your home becomes a place where you pretend to be fine. Pretending is the opposite of peace. This person is not evil. They may even love you in their limited way, but they should not be a regular visitor in your home. Your home is where you put down the mask. If someone cannot hold what you say, they cannot enter your sanctuary. It is not cruelty to protect that. It is wisdom. The sixth person, the one who makes you feel lucky. They came. Now we arrive at the last one, the most hidden, the most seductive. This person acts like your time is a gift they are giving you. They show up late, leave early, and keep checking their phone while you speak. They compliment you, but the compliments feel like bribes. You're so patient. Most people couldn't handle me, but you're special. I don't open up to just anyone. At first, this makes you feel chosen. But watch what is really happening. They are positioning themselves above you, and you accept it because you mistake their arrogance for confidence. Carl Jung warned about something called the mana personality. In old cultures, mana meant spiritual power. Jung said that sometimes we project power onto another person, making them bigger, and in doing so, we make ourselves smaller. That is exactly what the sixth person does. They do not need to insult you. They just need to remind you that in their world, you are a supporting character. Here is an example almost everyone has lived. An old friend visits. For 40 minutes they talk about their job, their promotion, their new apartment, their exciting vacation. You listen, you smile, you ask questions. Then they turn to you and say, "So what's new with you?" You begin to answer. Before you finish your second sentence, they interrupt with a story about someone more interesting. Or they glance at their watch. Or they say, "Oh, that reminds me of something that happened to me." The message is clear. Your story is less important. You finish talking quickly. You feel smaller. Not because they attacked you, because they taught you that in their presence you shrink. Why must you never let this person inside your home? Because your home is the one place in the universe where you are the main character. And I do not mean that in an egotistical way. I mean it in a survival way. Your brain needs an anchor, a place where your needs come first, a place where your stories are long enough to finish. When you let someone come in and subtly teach you that your struggles are inconveniences, your joys are boring, and your presence is a favor you should be grateful for, you stop treating your home like a home. You start treating it like a stage where you perform for their approval. And a performance is not rest. It is exhaustion wearing a smile. The solution is not confrontation. It is simple subtraction. Stop inviting them. When they ask why you are busy, you do not need to explain. Just say, "My home has been feeling small lately, so I'm keeping it quiet." That is a complete sentence. A real friend will understand. A sixth person will get offended. Let them be offended. Offense is not an emergency. It is just information. Let me pause here. and tell you something no one says in those polite articles about toxic people. The common advice is to make a list, cut people off, set harsh boundaries. That works for some. But I think there is a deeper path. It is not about cutting everyone off. It is about realizing that your home is not a democracy. It is a sanctuary with a velvet rope, and you are the only bouncer. Think of it this way. Every single person who walks through your door leaves a psychological fingerprint. Some prints are light. They fade by morning. Others are deeper. They change how you see your own walls. They do not scream. They do not break lamps. They leave a feeling. And that feeling is the real intruder. Marcus Aurelius also said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But let me add to that. Your way of thinking is shaped by who sits across from your table. You cannot think clearly about your future if someone is sitting in your chair whispering doubt. You cannot feel safe in your body if someone is rearranging your kitchen while you sleep. You cannot heal if someone is dumping their chaos on your floor every Tuesday. So you are not being rude by protecting your peace. You are being wise. Politeness without boundaries is not kindness. It is self-abandonment wearing a smile. And you have abandoned yourself enough. You have just spent nearly 20 minutes seeing something most people spend years ignoring. That your home is not just a roof and walls. It is a permission system. And you have been giving permission to people who do not respect what they are allowed to touch. So here is what you do next. Do not unfriend anyone. Do not send a dramatic message. Do not start a family war. Just notice. Next time someone visits, after they leave, ask yourself one quiet question. After that person walked out my door, did I feel more like myself or less like myself? That is not a small question. That is a compass. Follow it for 6 months, and your guest list will naturally change. Not because you became mean, because you became honest. And here is the final anchor, the deepest perspective. The 6 people we described today are not villains. They are often wounded people who never learned to hold their own pain. But their wound does not need to become your wallpaper. You can love someone and still protect your door. In fact, real love requires that protection, because if you let everyone in, you will eventually have nothing left to give anyone, including yourself. If this video made you feel something you cannot quite name yet, that is the transformation starting. That uncomfortable pinch in your chest is not anxiety. It is clarity trying to be born. Do not click away from it. Sit with it. And if you want to go deeper, watch the next video on my channel. It is called 7 Signs Someone is Envying You, Not Liking You. Because envy is the one emotion that never knocks. It just watches from the street. And by the end of that video, you will learn to see it before it ever reaches your door. Click the screen now, before this feeling fades. Your home is waiting for you to come back to it, not as a host, but as the one who belongs there,